promotions here. Someone else. We'll handle promotions. Talk about topics that need to be addressed, such as like trainings and things like that, and like interdepartmental issues. But without further ado, I'll let Bakers take over because he has an important announcement.
Yeah, there's a few things to talk about. Sorry that I sound like shit. Can't really do much about it. Thank you everybody for being here. Appreciate it. I know it's hard, especially like with everybody having different schedules and whatnot. So it is appreciated. If anybody's watching, I don't know if is anybody recording this?
I am.
Okay. So for anybody that's maybe catching the recording, thank you for at least listening to it. Please listen to it like all the way through if you could. If you have to leave at any point, you don't need to announce it. You can just leave the room and send us a communication about why you had to leave, or and we can kind of tell you what you missed, or at least point you in the right direction in the recording. So we have a lot of things happening within the department, I believe. As of last week, finally, all the subdivisions have proper commanders in place with SOPs and applications, or at least how you can join the departments. Remember that you have to be senior trooper and up to be able to join those. You can be inducted into a subdivision by the commander at an earlier stage, at an earlier rank, but that's going to be up to discretion. You got to remember that just because it happens to one person doesn't mean it's going to happen to everybody, all right? We're not here to babysit you. We're not here to act like this is kindergarten class where if I give one person a cookie, everybody has to get a cookie. It's not like that. I'm not doing that. So just keep in mind that you can be inducted earlier. Doesn't mean it's going to happen for you. And if it happens to somebody else and it's not you and you feel wronged, you can reach out to command and talk about it. But as of right now, applications are shut to senior trooper. If you can't find the applications or anything like that, I believe some of them are pinned in the LEO channel in the Discordian. If not, you can reach out to the appropriate subdivision commander and ask them for an application, or at least how you can join. For everybody that's a cadet or officer who is sort of feeling like discouraged or anything like that, just remember that once you get up there and to senior trooper, you can join whatever subdivision you'd like. You can have up to 3, but you have to choose one as your main, and it's something to work towards, all right? It's not something that we want to just hand out to people. We want you to feel accomplished when you finally get the role that you want to do, all right? Any questions on subdivisions and ranks? If you're a senior trooper and you have not already reached out to somebody about a possible subdivision as your main, then I implore that you do so, because it's something that, like, when you join a subdivision, especially this early on, it's something that's going to help you, evolve in your leadership skills and move on with the rest of your career. All right. Any questions?
No, sir.
All right. Before we go any further, I want to change. I want to introduce a new chain of command change. So, it's going to be changing with the top 3 ranks only. So it's not chief 1, chief 2, and then assistant chief. I guess people didn't like the names, which is fine. I get it. It was kind of dumb. I'll admit that. So basically, what we're moving to is commissioner at the top, and then chief of police underneath that, and then assistant chief / deputy chief. All right. So the new change is basically the commissioner is part of the DPS, which is the Department of Public Safety, that essentially answers to the Department of Justice on policies, funding, things like that of nature. So we have any issues, and the DOJ wants to bring it up with the police department. Like, let's say we are not submitting evidence correctly, or we are losing cases because we are not prepared the right way. That'll be something that I'm going to get yelled at for, and then I'm going to yell at the rest of you. So part of my other job is now just going to be sort of taking over trainings in the FTO / TO system. So tonight we're gonna make a change, and it will go into effect tomorrow. So we have FTOs and TOs which are going to be two different things. So an FTO is a field training officer, TO is a training officer. Training officers will be allowed to do ride-alongs and things of that nature when they hit senior trooper and they're approved for it. Also, if you're senior trooper and you want to be a TO, you need to come talk to me. And FTOs are going to be the ones that can actually run through trainings. So when a new cadet comes and we have to do like a one-person academy for them, or if we have like a 4 or 5 person academy, the FTOs are the ones that are actually able to run that. And that'll be something that you're introduced to when you're promoted to corporal, and then onward from there. Okay. Any questions about the new chain of command and the new FTO-TO system, which will, be a little bit, fleshed out in a document later tonight?
That's
Questions?
making you commissioner. Who's chief? Like, who's that middle stage?
Currently, right now, as of this moment, there is not a chief.
Okay.
Zero's not the chief. All right, so actually, I forgot to. I left that out. K9 is actually a rank above everybody. I'm pretty sure he even outranks the DOJ. So yeah, there's that. So if Zero bites you, nobody goes running to IA, all right? Because Zero is IA, all right?
How is Zero IA?
Yes, sir.
Zero is IA, no questions.
Zero's also
Alright.
a speed unit. But once he loses some weight.
I saw no memorandum hit my desk. I'd like to see the paperwork. Alright.
This is your memorandum.
It's memorandum. It has to be in a written form.
All right, Zero, get on that. I did mention at this moment in time, I just mentioned that we don't have a chief of police, but moving ahead to the next moment, we are going to be shoving somebody into that role effective immediately, and this will be his first meeting that he's going to be running as the new chief of police, and that'll be Jimmy Jenkins. So,
Sorry, Jenkins.
wow.
Sorry
All
about
right,
that language.
way to ruin the announcement.
Sorry about that language.
What
Not
the
happy
hell?
About that. He
That was
not happy.
the worst muscle spasm I've
I mean,
had
we
in a
can talk about it
while.
after the meeting, but
As I said, Jenkins will be the new chief of police. There's not going to be too much of a difference between the two of us. The biggest thing for me is that I'm going to be sort of the bridge between the PD and the DOJ, and sort of like overseeing trainings and making sure the department is run how it should be. But he overall is going to be the one that runs and maintains the department, and we'll kind of do it together, especially with Garcia as our deputy chief. All right. So, command, everything is staying the same. All of our commanders are still in place, doing their jobs wonderfully. As I said, the new subdivisions are in place. Really quick, just to sort of, I want to get through it right now before somebody complains later. Yes, Jenkins is qualified. He's done the job before. He did it well. And I have no doubt that, he's going to do it fantastically again. If anybody has concerns, you can reach out to me. But, I'm going to stand my ground and say that it's a good decision. And I believe that he's the best, most qualified person right now to, run the department as the chief of police. So everybody congratulate him. And I'll let him move on with the rest of the meeting.
Woo! Yeah, Jenkins. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
appreciate it, guys.
Yeah.
Thank you, Garcia. Moving forward with the meeting, we're going to start to talk about various topics that have to do with activity lately and how it's affected the department a bit. So things, and I'll admit it, like things have been slow for the past couple of weeks. I've been around and I've noticed it even like the first day I came back. But I think in general, like everyone just like make sure, like if you're the only one on duty and you feel like there's nothing happening, like there's like a few options for you, and something I'm gonna start doing. I encourage everyone to start investigating, starting these investigations into various things. It doesn't matter what, like, obviously, like get our approval if you think it's something big, but you know, I would just start looking into things because there's a lot going on that we don't even realize. Because I'll be honest, I've been a part of the problem of just like being on duty and just responding to calls, and if there's no calls, I'm kind of just sitting around, you know. But from this point forward, I expect everybody to start making the effort to go out and see, like, investigate the racing scene, or where are these people getting all of these drugs? Like, where's that being distributed? Or like, you know, going to the South Side and gathering intel for CID on the gangs. I'm sure they appreciate that as well. So I had this conversation too, like no one's stopping you from rolling around in your off-duty vehicle, and obviously try to be safe, but investigating, like, you don't have to be in a cruiser and make it very obvious that, you know, you're snooping around. Like, not everybody has access to unmarked vehicles. I understand that. So I think the best way to circumvent that is going off duty, starting these investigations, like looking into things, because there's a lot we can do as PD, like outside of just responding to calls, and like people to be afraid to do, you know, criminal activities now that we're in city. Because like often, you know, you'll go to a drug call and like you won't see anybody because they've moved on to like another place. So like, why not investigate the source of that, you know? So that's just an idea. I hope to see people exploring that and figuring that out, because it's a lot of fun, and I remember doing it in a previous city and going out and starting my own investigations, and I had a lot of fun. So
Bottom line, if you didn't get that through your heads, you don't need to be in CID to investigate something. That's the bottom
Yeah.
line.
You just can't
utilize CID resources such as like unmarked vehicles and plainclothes and other equipment that we have, like forensics and stuff. You can still investigate. You're not CID. And if it
Yeah.
becomes too serious and you uncover something maybe a little bit too big for your britches, then you can loop in CID or just hand the case over altogether, or work with them, or do whatever you want, and that's very situational. But yeah, bottom line, you don't need to be CID to investigate something. There's such things as patrol investigations. All right.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, get creative, like make it fun. You know, there are slow nights. There's gonna be a bunch of slow nights for a while, you know, and I think the best way to get around that is honestly to start your own investigations and look into that. I know it's not for everybody, but that's just one of the ways. I'll talk about some other ways to like keep yourself busy. But we're gonna move on to jailing. So I had an experience last night where this is obviously a first-time offender. He did not seem very experienced robbing the store, and eventually, you know, we jailed him, and his sentence was up to 95 months and a $4,600 fine. So I made the executive decision to give him 10 months. And I think in general, for first-time offenders, we're going to make this a rule to where at maximum, you're going to be jailing people for 10 months. And that's just how we're going to roll for first-time offenders. Just because, you know, it scares people away if, you know, the first crime they committed lands them in 100 months in jail if they're not very experienced. And like, we don't want that. We want people to, like, I guess, we don't want people to commit crime, but, you know, at the same time, we kind of do, because it gives us something to do for our job. So in general, just keep an eye on that and be lenient and like roll with the punches, because some of these people aren't going to be super experienced, and that's just how it is. The next topic is going to be going off duty and like making connections. Like, I think Logan has a wedding tonight, and I know he goes off duty a lot, and he explores, like, you know, talking to the citizens and like getting to know them. And the cool thing about that is, like, yeah, you can find a wife or whatever, but you can also just like make connections to link into more arrests, more investigations. But yeah, so going off duty, I highly encourage it. Like, if you feel like it's slow and you don't really want to investigate anything, like, go off duty and talk to people. Like, go to a bar, you know.
It's called community policing, guys. And it's a good way to build a relationship with the community that doesn't force you to, every single time that you're interacting with the community, you're either arresting them or it's because somebody's having a bad day. I mean, if you pull some, like, most of the time that people see us, it's because something is not right, right? Like, somebody's breaking the law, somebody's having a bad day, somebody crashed their car, somebody is getting pulled over because they were speeding, and now it's a bad day. Like, if you go out and you have other interactions and ones where they're positive interactions and they're not just you showing up to make an arrest or write a fine, it's gonna be better for you, and you might get mag dumped and ocean dumped less.
Yeah, like, it humanizes yourself, because at the end of the day, like, you don't want to just be that person that responds to a robbery or that person that pulls XYZ over, you know? Like, you want to be a part of this community, a part of this like city, and not just like the badge.
Right, what's up?
So I highly encourage it. It's something that I didn't do for a while in the previous city because I was so obsessed with just patrolling. But going off duty honestly helps in so many aspects, and yeah, I just highly encourage it. But without further ado, we're gonna move on to promotions. These officers were talked about and recommended to me and other members of command in our emails, and I have heard good things, and I'm proud to announce that Vesk is going to be promoted to senior trooper, and T will be promoted to solo cadet. Go ahead and give them a round of applause.
Good job, guys. Long time coming.
Woo.
Deserved.
Thank you.
Except for you, Nesquick.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
On top of that, I'd like to have first off have Levesque come forward to the stand. And just like your onboarding, we're gonna go ahead and read this again because I think it's great to do promotions. So, repeat after me. I, Senior Trooper Levesque,
I, Senior Trooper Levesque,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of San Andreas,
and the Constitution of the State of San Andreas,
and the laws therefore,
and the laws therefore,
and I will faithfully, honestly, and impartially discharge the duties of a police officer.
now faithfully, partially, and discharge of duties as a police officer.
During my continuance therein,
During my continuance therein,
to the best of my ability,
to the best of my ability,
so help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir.
Congratulations, you earned it.
Thank you.
I give you shit, but you earned it.
Yeah. Doesn't everybody?
All right, T, I'll let you come forward as well. All right. I, Solo Cadet T,
I, Solo Cadet T,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of San Andreas,
and the Constitution of the State of San Andreas
and the laws therefore,
and the laws therefore,
and I will faithfully,
and I will faithfully,
honestly, and impartially discharge
honestly, and partially discharge
the duties of a police officer
duties of a police officer
during my continuance therein
during my continuance therein
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability,
So help me God.
so help me God.
Congratulations.
Congrats,
All
Steve.
right.
Good job.
So next topic, and I think we're getting towards the end. So we do, in fact, have, I think at this point, about 30 officers. I know about half of them are cadets, but at this point, I think we're gonna start promoting activity, and I understand schedules and everything, but we might have to start enforcing a stricter policy of like showing up at least bi-weekly, you know, for at least an hour. And that just goes to the fact that, like, you know, there are points where there are only a few officers around, especially during our active shift, which is mainly the 9 p.m. Eastern shift. But I think in general, we just need to make sure that we're showing up bi-weekly. I'll start sending out emails if, you know, I see more of a lack of activity from officers. Doesn't matter if you're right along or not. Like, I have reached out multiple times in the to the cadets, and I've only had a few respond. So in the future, I think we're just going to be stricter. That's all. So on to the next topic, we're going to talk about trainings that are probably going to happen in the next week or so. So I have had concerns brought to me, and as well as like I've seen that when we do have officers around, like quite a few, it gets really hectic, and I think that's just because normally it's like 1 to 3 that are around at a time. But we're gonna work on just like 1080s spacing, like parallels, communications, and all that stuff. I think we want to work on that the next week or two. So look out for that training day. I'll probably post another poll on the bulletin board about just like what times you guys want to show up. But I'll try to find the most active times, and it seems to be that this shift is the most active, so I'll probably stick to this kind of like time range. But yeah, I just think in general, I think it's good for us to practice comms even if there's no one around, and just making sure that you're constantly on top of it, because when the event that a lot of officers are on duty and we have these big bank events, like you want to make sure that you are properly properly responding and being succinct to the radio. Chases need to be cleaner and things like that. So that's all I gotta say for that. We'll talk more about it when the trainings come. But now that we're towards the end of the meeting, I'll start taking any points from other command members. If you want to come to the stand and speak a little bit about any concerns or things you want to bring up, now's the time. But I think I'm going to take questions specifically after the meeting, so that, because I know other people have things they need to do. So if you want to stick around for questions, like, we can do that after we finish.
So if you have questions about anything that we're going to bring up, just write it down and remember to ask later. But Stevens, were you going to say something?
Just if you hit signature brain, you're interested in IA, just reach out to either Rick or myself. HR as well. There's separate departments under one, so if you want to be IA, but you don't want to do HR stuff, let us know. And if you want to do HR stuff, don't want to do IA stuff, let us know. Other than that, I don't think I have anything. Rick, do you have anything from our department?
What are some of the things that IA and HR does?
IA does internal investigations. We cover departmental things, so I have my SOP with me because I didn't bring my SOP with me. We
I can probably explain that if you want. So things that we investigate is things like abuses of power, any type of officer misconduct, any type of shooting that involves a death. We investigate those as well. Pretty much any type of incident that could be considered against the policies of the state police. That's what we investigate.
In their uniforms and red out with their trained officers.
You were a robot for almost the entire beginning of that.
Now.
No, it's still.
Yeah, it's about off and on.
Oh boy.
I'm going to cover that too.
I think your head popped.
Yeah. So just to cover that out, so HR, we handle interviews and we do all of the onboard training. So everything from getting people set up on their MDT, getting their uniforms, swearing them in, and getting them ready to move along to the TO side of things, to get ready as a ride-along cadet. That's essentially what we do. Outside of us, any commander is allowed to conduct interviews and do that as well. So, because I know between Stevens and myself, our schedules are very sporadic. So not always are we around. So commanders have that ability. But yeah, if you're interested, just let myself or Lexi know, and we'll get you sorted.
All right. Anyone else from command need to say anything?
Garcia, you got anything?
No, I'm good.
All right. I think the same point applies to other subdivisions. Vickers mentioned that, like, don't be afraid to apply and just be in a subdivision because it does teach you a lot of skills. And TU, I haven't had an application since Garcia, personally. So
Same. Since I took over and then didn't take over.
yeah, so I think apply to subdivisions if you're a senior trooper and above. Like, just go for it. We don't mind training. We were around for it. Like, that's part of our job. So yeah. So I guess at this point we could just end the meeting. And if you have any questions, you can come up to us. I'll stay at the front for a bit. I'm probably going to this wedding, so.
Really quick, pop quiz. How many subdivisions can you have? Anybody?
3.
3.
All right, perfect. So,
With a focus on 1.
shut up. Yeah, with a focus on 1. And so if you like, there's really no harm in applying for a subdivision. Like, honestly and truly, like, it's just more things for you to do and more things for you to be a part of and be included. So it's worth it.
And it's nice to have other people Air 1 cert or speed cert in case, like, I'm not on duty or Bakers isn't on duty, Jenkins or, Torden or, Logan aren't on duty. It's nice to have other people available.
I have a quick question.
Go for it.
Okay. Actually, me, Garcia, and Stevens were discussing this earlier. In a situation that your PD weapon or any other PD equipment gets taken, how would you like everyone to go about reporting that to command, high command, etc.?
Good question. So we have the police incident reports channel in the Discordium. It should go there along, like, you should handle that the same way that you would handle like an in-depth report. So you would pretty much you would use the same report template that we would use if we were charging somebody with a crime, and then you would explain what happened, the officers involved, and any evidence or leads that you might have, so we can try to track them down. That's going to start to become a CID thing, is try to crack down and find these guns that were missing. So, I mean, yeah, just put it in the incident reports channel, and so we are aware of it. And so when we do find the weapon, we can maybe link it to the situation. Good question, though.
Do we know how
Is
many
it-
are out in the streets at this point in time that we're aware of? PD weapons, especially.
I don't have a number on that because I don't know if many people have been reporting it. But let's start doing that. Reporting what you had taken off of you and the situation, and put that in the incident reports channel. And so we can sort of, put up a sheet with how many and the estimate that we think we're missing. Just because, like you said, that is a good question, because we don't know how many are out there, and that's very not only dangerous to the public but dangerous for us as well. They're going to try to fight fire with our weapons. So
Yeah, and also I haven't seen a lot of it recently, but how I handle bolos is I put it in that same police incident reports channel, because I don't think we have a way to do that in MDT, so that's where I put mine. I haven't seen many, but I think start writing those for like descriptions, because like it gives us something to do if we find an individual described, and we can stop them for questioning, like no matter if it goes anywhere or not, like at least we have that, So write in those bolos for descriptions and things like that. And just in general, like making sure, that was a point I missed. For reports, I think we're going to crack down on people writing them like sooner rather than later. So if you have a valid excuse, like it's okay to write like the next day or so, but like you actually do have to write it the next day, because we have an issue right now where a lot of reports are unfinished, and if they were ever taken to court, like we would just lose.
If
Isn't
I
it
can,
that we've got 72 hours to write a report.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I remember. If I can interject on that, I actually went back by about like 100 reports the other day. I found 4 reports that have not been completed, and one of them I think is like getting close on almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, so start cracking down on those. Like if I check and I see reports aren't written, like in the next couple weeks, then I might start requiring people to write them before they clock off, and that would suck. Especially
anybody not command or IA and HR, what was the new policy that was just announced last week with reports and guilty pleas?
You were pinged in the Leo channel. The Leo announcements, I believe.
If they plead guilty, you don't need a detailed report.
Right. So basically what he just said, he's on his shit today. Good job, Langley. But basically, if somebody pleads guilty in the cells, you have to read them their rights before they plead guilty. And then if they plead guilty, you don't need to write like a long report. You can write a short 2 to 3 sentence summary of the events that happened, and then end the report with suspect pleaded guilty in the cells. So when they do this, make sure that you also tell them that if they do plead guilty, it's likely going to be unable to go to trial. All right. If anybody abuses that, not only will you catch a vacation, you will also be fired. So let's put it that way. So if you just write that somebody pleaded guilty in your report, and they didn't actually plead guilty, you're losing your job and taking a flight.
Yeah.
On the other end of that, if they don't plead guilty and they go not guilty, you can almost guarantee it's going to get taken to court. So if they plead not guilty, I want a detailed as fuck report to where I read it, it would be like I was there witnessing it, because that's your ass if it goes to court.
Exactly,
department's
because
You're writing me a novel, because I'll
Lawyers
likely
are
be
gonna
the
look
one
that
that's
shit up.
fucking there.
Yeah, some of these reports, even with the not guilty pleas, are like 3 sentences,
We
and
should
it's
be
like they
writing
robbed
our
a spot, we
reports.
showed up, and then they left, we caught them, GG. Like that's like a
Yeah.
report. It's like no, that's not it.
You need to write your reports to somebody that is not involved in the situation, aka the lawyers and or the judge that might be looking at your report as evidence knows exactly what happened.
Yep. And if you're a nerd like me, you can practice on the guilty ones because those don't matter as much. And if you're bad at writing reports, like you gotta get started somewhere. So
To be fair, I still would like some level of detail in the guilty reports because, say for example, we'll use Will Hunt just because I've already written a couple for him. If I need to write a search warrant and I'm using prior reports as a basis for it, and I show the judge and it's like, oh well, he ran, he shot, we caught him. Like that's not going to help my warrant and my justification for my scope of search I need. So some detail, some level of detail will be nice and is wanted, because that's going to affect how stuff goes forward. I need to establish history, stuff like that for the search warrants. And if I just get like a 3-sentence report, it's not going to fly.
Okay. If that's it, I actually have another thing I'd like to bring up.
yeah, go ahead.
All right. With the community outreach in mind, myself and other officers have noticed a lot of officers that are employed here with us in this department. Essentially, I would say crim baiting on Twitter. That's been happening quite frequently. I know a lot of us are guilty of it. But if we're going to be doing this community outreach and try to gain respect on the street, popping off on Twitter isn't the way we're going to do it. So I just want to address that.
Yeah, it's really unprofessional, and it doesn't matter if you're on duty or not. You still represent the department on Twitter. So in general, you guys need to make sure that we aren't doing that, because that only makes it worse for us. Because we're not gangs, we're not gang members, so we're not there to like start beef. And if you're gonna start beef and like you actually do have beef with somebody, like leave that outside of like the public like world. I would say, like, I don't want to see it or hear about it. That just goes for everybody. It doesn't apply to me specifically.
No.
That's a good point.
I suppose if you were in an investigative situation and you're going undercover, you're not going to have your, badge number, ID, whatever you are to identify yourself as an officer on your Twitter making threats, but obviously, again, if it was an investigative situation and you were undercover, you do what you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if you're undercover, you want to act like you're part of the culture, so if that's what you gotta do, that's what you gotta do. But as long as you're representing this department on Twitter or anywhere that's public, I don't want to see anything disrespectful or misrepresenting what we represent.
It's also a quick way to earn yourself a seat in the HR office. So there's that too. And not only will you get a talking to from them, you'll likely get disciplinary action as well.
All right. Well, we can end the meeting here. I think that should be the end of it, unless anyone else has anything to say from command.
All right. Sounds like meeting's
talk.
adjourned. If anybody has any questions, you can bring them up right now. I guess